When self-care becomes survival, the revolutionary act of Black well-being. When was the last time you took a deep breath? Not just any breath, a real intentional breath that filled your lungs completely and reminded you that you're alive? For many of us, especially in the Black community, that question isn't just about relaxation, it's about survival. I recently had the profound opportunity to interview Camele Bembury, whose transformative insights have fundamentally shifted how I understand the intersection of racial identity, mental health, and self preservation. Camele isn't just another voice in the wellness space. She's a revolutionary thinker whose work has literally saved lives by challenging the dangerous notion that Black excellence requires Black exhaustion. Her courageous advocacy has created pathways to healing for countless individuals who previously suffered in silence, believing their pain was simply the price of progress. We live in a world that expects Black excellence while simultaneously erecting barriers to Black success. A world that demands we show up perfectly while denying us the resources to heal. A world where the very act of prioritizing our own well being becomes a radical statement. The statistics are sobering. Anxiety rates among Black adults have skyrocketed from 6% to 27% in recent years. Depression has more than doubled from 9% to 21%. And perhaps most alarming, nearly 70% of Black adults experiencing mental illness don't receive the care they need. Behind these numbers are real people, people who wake up each morning carrying not just their personal responsibilities, but the weight of generational trauma, systemic discrimination, and the exhausting performance of code switching through professional spaces that weren't designed for them. I want to be clear about something. When we talk about self-care in the Black community, we're not talking about bubble baths and scented candles, though those are lovely. We're talking about something far more fundamental: the right to exist fully, to breathe freely, to prioritize our own survival in a society that has historically devalued Black lives. As Kamala Bembury powerfully articulated in our interview, self love and self care are not luxuries, they are essential for survival and thriving. Let that sink in for a moment. For many Black professionals, the pressure to be twice as good to get half as far creates a dangerous pattern of self neglect. We push ourselves beyond reasonable limits. We ignore warning signs from our bodies and minds. We postpone joy and rest in pursuit of a success that society has made unnecessarily difficult for us to achieve. And the consequences, they're devastating. Consider the story behind Therapy for Black Girls, a platform founded by Dr. Joy Harden Bradford. Dr. Bradford didn't create this resource on a whim. She created it because she witnessed firsthand how Black women were struggling to find therapists who understood their lived experiences, therapists who wouldn't dismiss their trauma or misdiagnose their symptoms. What began as a simple blog has evolved into a national movement that has connected thousands of Black women to culturally competent mental health resources. This platform hasn't just improved lives, it has saved them. It has created spaces where Black women can finally exhale, where they can speak their truth without translation, where they can heal without having to justify their pain. But here's the painful reality: Dr. Bradford had to create this resource because the existing mental health infrastructure wasn't serving Black women adequately. The very systems designed to support human well being have historically excluded or misunderstood Black experiences. This is why Kamala Bembury's second insight is so crucial. Accessing mental health support is a right, not a privilege. Yet, for too many in our community, quality mental health care remains out of reach, whether due to financial constraints, lack of culturally responsive providers, or the persistent stigma that surrounds mental health discussions in Black spaces. This stigma runs deep. It's rooted in a history where showing vulnerability could be dangerous, where strength was not just admired, but required for survival. It's reinforced by religious traditions that sometimes emphasize prayer over therapy and cultural norms that value resilience over rest. Actress Taraji P. Henson understood this when she founded the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, named after her father, who struggled with mental health issues after returning from the Vietnam War. Her father, like so many Black veterans, carried invisible wounds that were never properly addressed, wounds that affected not just his life, but the lives of those who loved him. Henson's foundation doesn't just provide scholarships for Black students entering mental health fields. It actively works to dismantle the stigma that prevents people from seeking help in the first place. Through free therapy sessions and public awareness campaigns, the foundation has sparked crucial conversations about mental health in Black communities. These aren't just conversations, they're lifelines, because here's what Camele Bembury wants us to understand. You know, the impact of self neglect is real and measurable. When we ignore our mental and emotional needs, we're not just having a bad day, we're potentially shortening our lives. The statistics around Black youth are particularly alarming. Between 2007 and 2020, suicide rates among Black youth increased by 144%. 144%. Each percentage point represents young people with dreams, talents, and futures that were cut short. This is why organizations like the Steve Fund are so vital. Founded after the tragic loss of Stephen Rose, a Harvard student, the fund was created by his family to prevent similar losses in the future. Stephen's story is heartbreaking. A brilliant young man with seemingly limitless potential who struggled silently with mental health challenges. His family transformed their grief into purpose, creating an organization that now partners with colleges and mental health professionals to create safe spaces for young people of color to seek help. Their work reminds us that self care isn't selfish, it's strategic, it's revolutionary. It's a declaration that Black lives matter, not just in protest chants, but in daily practice. I want to pause here and acknowledge something important. Talking about these issues can be heavy. It can trigger our own unresolved trauma or remind us of loved ones we've lost to mental health struggles. If you're feeling that weight right now, I honor it. Your feelings are valid, and that validation itself is a form of care that many Black individuals have been denied. How often have our emotions been dismissed as angry or too much? How frequently have our legitimate responses to oppression been pathologized? This is why culturally responsive mental health care isn't just preferable, it's essential. A therapist who understands the context of racial trauma can help distinguish between paranoia and the very real experience of being surveilled in stores. They can recognize that what presents as anger might actually be grief for opportunities denied or safety threatened. But accessing this care requires resources, time, money, energy that systemic inequality has made scarce for many Black individuals. This creates a cruel paradox. Those who most need healing often have the least access to it. This is where community becomes crucial. When individual resources are limited, collective care can fill the gap. This might look like church mental health ministries, neighborhood support groups, or digital communities like those fostered by Therapy for Black Girls. It might also look like workplace policies that acknowledge the unique stressors faced by Black employees. Companies that offer mental health days, culturally diverse wellness programs, and leadership that models healthy boundaries can make a significant difference. Because let's be honest, the strong Black woman and invulnerable Black man tropes have not served us well. They've encouraged us to push through pain rather than process it, to prioritize productivity over peace. As Camel Bembury emphasized in our conversation, this mindset doesn't just hurt individuals, it damages families, communities, and ultimately our collective potential. Think about it. How many brilliant Black minds have we lost because stress crushed their creativity? How many visionary leaders never emerged because burnout dimmed their light? How many businesses were never started, books never written, movements never launched because self neglect depleted the very people who could have brought them to life? The cost is incalculable. And it's a cost we can no longer afford to pay. So, what do? How do we move from acknowledging this crisis to addressing it? Camille Benberry suggests starting with one concrete step to prioritize your well being, just one. Maybe it's scheduling that therapy appointment you've been putting off. Maybe it's setting a firm boundary at work. Maybe it's joining a support group or simply taking 5 minutes each day to affirm your worth. If you're a leader, it might mean modeling self care openly for your team, showing them that rest is not just permitted, but encouraged. It might mean creating policies that recognize the unique challenges faced by Black employees and providing resources to address them. Whatever that step is, take it. Not tomorrow, not when things calm down, not when you've achieved that next goal. Take it today, because here's the truth: the revolution we're fighting for, the one that will create true equality and justice, requires us to be whole. It requires us to be healthy. It requires us to be here. And we cannot be here fully if we're running on empty. Self care for Black individuals isn't just about personal wellness, it's a political act. It's a declaration that despite a system designed to exhaust and diminish us, we choose to nurture ourselves. We choose to thrive. This is what Camel Bimberry wants us to understand. Caring for ourselves isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's not a distraction from the work, it is the work. So I challenge you today, right now, to join this revolution of radical self care, to recognize that in a world that has often treated Black bodies as disposable, choosing to nurture your own is an act of defiance. It's saying, I matter, my peace matters, my joy matters, my life matters. Take that deep breath, schedule that appointment, set that boundary, join that community. Your well being is not negotiable. Your peace is not optional. Your life, your whole complex, beautiful Black life is worth protecting with the same ferocity with which you protect everything and everyone else. When future generations look back on this moment in history, let them say this was when we finally rejected the false choice between our work and our wellness, when we understood that our greatest contribution to justice wasn't our exhaustion, but our wholeness, when we realized that by saving ourselves, we were saving our future. Because a movement sustained by sacrifice alone will eventually collapse, but a movement fueled by joy, rest, and radical self love, that's a movement that can transform the world. Thank you.